Tony D and Little Joan, who is asleep on the couch, and this is a screenwriter's rant on Mr. Mummy, which is definitely an Indian comedy. I'm not sure which province this is from. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Thanks for checking out my books. And speaking of my books, I will be at the Voorhees Halloween Festival from 1 to 4 today, Saturday, and then at 5 o'clock over at the Devil's Creek Brewery in Collingswood, New Jersey. So if you're around the South Jersey area, hope to see you there. I do have book 10 of the Pineys. Just got it in last night. Very excited. And I'll get you a signed copy. So, Mr. Mummy. Now it's spelled Mummy. So I saw that and I'm like, well, that's like the mummy that chases Abbott and Costello. That's not like the mummy like a mom. But the advertising is about this guy and his wife who are both pregnant somehow. So they come in to the doctor and she has all the symptoms of being pregnant, and so does he. Which would make you think, well, he's got one of those deals where he just has the same symptoms, because it's like sometimes that happens. Like to husbands, they get, what was it called? Like sympathetic symptoms or something. No. Apparently he too has somehow gotten pregnant, but they don't quite explain that, but it's just a wacky comedy. So like the first part of this is in English mostly, and then the rest is in I'm not sure what. I'm gonna say Hindi, but it may be there's like a dozen other languages in India. So from Hectic Cinema T-Series, I think those are the guys. Aren't those the guys that they went up against PewDiePie for hits on YouTube? Aren't those the guys who I think they do music? Huh. It's interesting. But it looks very wacky. And then there's it's almost like a rap song that the lead actor sings. Why he's got the pregnant belly at this church, I guess. And I assume he's singing about being pregnant, and it's a funny song. And he is a husband who hates kids because in his job, I guess he's a scoutmaster. Is that the Boy Scouts? I'm guessing it's the Boy Scouts. Or some variation of the Boy Scouts. Maybe an Indian version of the Boy Scouts. And so they're both having the symptoms. And it's funny to watch this movie not in English because it has the same sort of editing pacing that you would see in a comedy in America, right? It's like big expressions, close-ups, what are you doing? And the fast-paced music kind of thing. And here they have a flashback to how they both got pregnant. And then this is her two friends. And she's always dressed in, I guess that's a hijab? Or what's the other word for it? I forget. So they're giving her advice on how to deal with him. Here he's lactating. He keeps going back to the doctor who can't seem to provide any answers, and here he is giving him an ultrasound. So, and then later he goes to his mother, and because there's just a couple of lines in English here, and it's clear it's his mother who's trying to give him advice, and then his doctor sort of betrays him by going on the news to tell the world, and he didn't want everybody to know. You can imagine that. And then the news comes to his house, and then this is part of, I guess, the singing, where he has to turn down a drink because he's pregnant. Now this is his friend trying to give him helpful advice, I guess. And then later he's having the baby and has to get to the hospital, I guess. I don't know if it's a dream or what. This is, I guess, more singing. Because the way this is lit, this looks more like the music video. But it's called Mr. Mummy. It's the wrong mummy. Should it be Mr. Mommy? Directed by Shad Ali. And November 11th. I'm not sure where you're going to see it. Probably and this is a very comedy shot, like, oh, look, oh no. It looks funny though. I mean, it looks very wacky and slapsticky, but it does look funny. Let's see if I can find. Now they always have their credits in a different order. Usually there's a certain order to it in the American films, and they don't put certain credits. Like here they've got the colorist, post head, VFX supervisor. I mean, like normally these guys don't get into the credit thing at the end of a trailer, but Indian cinema is different. Shad Ali is the director. Who wrote it though? See, they even have the president of global digital business of T Series. He gets a credit. Music. They have music credits and then music recreated. Okay. And lyrics. I mean, where the hell? I guess we have to assume Shad Ali wrote it. Yeah, because I'm not seeing a screenwriter credit. Where are your screenwriting credits, Indian cinema? Music on team series. Music team. See, this is why T-Series is very music related. Oh, I guess it's going to be on Netflix. It says Netflix here. Yeah, I don't know if there's a subtitled or dubbed version. But it does look very wacky and funny. He's got a lot of good expression, big hair. So, I mean, it looks like a movie you would have seen in America back in the 90s before everybody in Hollywood lost their sense of humor. First act probably starts out with them getting cozy, and then later his wife is having symptoms and he's having symptoms. So they both go to the doctor, and he says, "Oh, your wife is pregnant." And probably initially the doctor says, "Well, you're having like just symptomatic pains, or you're being sympathetic to her. You're having imaginary symptoms." Then they go home, but his symptoms get worse, and they keep trying to live their lives, and you introduce to various friends. He doesn't want kids because he has to work with kids, I guess, as a coach or scoutmaster. But she wants kids more than anything. It's very typical female-male dynamic. And then he has to go back to the doctor again, and then he's like, "Well, this is weird. You are pregnant." And then he's like, "Oh, that's impossible." He doesn't believe it, but he has all the symptoms. And I don't know, they somehow confirm it. So second act, he is getting more and more pregnant. I guess this takes place over a period of 9 months. And then, it starts to impact his life, and he's trying to keep it a secret. Eventually, out of desperation, he goes to his mother, who chastises him, and she just makes the situation worse. He's worried about people finding out, and then boom, the doctor's on TV, and then it explodes, and everybody knows he's the first man to get pregnant. At some point there's a song, and I'm not sure where the song. Now, normally in India cinema, the song's at the end, and I'm sure there's probably a song at the end, but I kind of get the impression there's going to be a song in the middle too, just because it's a wacky comedy. It's kind of like India cinema is a little more surreal. They're willing to kind of play around with reality more, just to entertain you. And it's all about entertainment, I think, in Indian cinema. They're all about entertaining you, almost like you're watching. This goes back to the early origins of movies in American cinema. It was about entertaining you, so it was like in American cinema they kind of just took plays and basically recreated them in movies. So a lot of the early movies felt very much like a play. They didn't have a lot of crazy locations or stunts or anything. They would event over the years they would incorporate them more, but at least initially, a lot of things just felt like a play, because that's who they drew from to write them, and they weren't thinking so much as terms of the big visuals. So I kind of get that sense from Indian cinema too. They're a little more old school in that way. So, and then finally the third act is they both have the baby, and then we get an explanation of why he was pregnant. I would think. I don't think he has the baby at the end. I think maybe it could be a dream. That would be the easiest thing, because there's a shot of him towards the end of the trailer with a flat stomach lying on the bed. Like, oh, that was weird. Like, oh. Or it could be, the doctor lied to him, and really he just had to fart a lot, like it was gas. That was in some show here where a guy, they started out like he was pregnant, and then it turned out he just had a lot of gas, which could be funny, at the end of it, his stomach going down and a big long fart or something like that. And then, it's going to be about how he finally has a kid and then embraces fatherhood, and then probably they cut to, a few years later, and they've got like 10 kids or whatever, right? Something like that. So, it looks wacky. I don't know, I don't know if I would like it. It's a little too slapsticky for me, but it looks funny. I just don't understand why they call it Mr. Mummy with a U. Is that something, or is it like mum, like the English mummy? Maybe. Because when I saw Mr. Mummy, I thought, how are they going to work Egyptian mummies into this? But it looks wacky. Ratish Deshmukh, Janelia Deshmukh. Oh, so they're a couple. Oh, that's interesting. I assume they're a couple. I assume they wouldn't be brother and sisters playing these roles. That's funny. That's kind of cool. See, I think that's the way Hollywood here's going, too. There's so many scandals. I think Hollywood's going to eventually go, oh, we got to hire a husband and wife team, and then there'll be no scandals, There's no way a wife is going to accuse her husband of sexual harassment on the set, right? I mean, I guess they could, but it would be a tough sell. Interesting. Oh, wait, there's a little captioning. No, there wasn't. So, looks cool. Tell me in the comments what you think. Some of my Indian fans, tell me what language this is in. I'm guessing Hindi, just because it tends to be the most popular one we get over here. And you tell me if this is funny or if I'm missing any of the keys here. If there's something else here that I'm missing in terms of the culture and how people would react to this. All right, I'm gonna go. Time to sell books. Hope to see you in Voorhees and then in Collingswood tonight, and we'll see you later tonight with more videos.